Welcome to the exciting world of martial arts. My name is Bill Wakefield. I'm Chief Instructor and founder of the Combined Martial Arts Academy. I've been studying martial arts for the last 33 years and teaching for the last 28. I'm a world ranked 6th-degree black belt, and for the last 20 odd years I've been lucky enough to travel the world and train with some of the best masters in the arts of taekwondo, karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, boxing, weaponry. I've twice been inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. Now, in 2009, I won Australian Sportsman of the Year, which I can't tell you how I felt about that. I've had hundreds of stories written about us in magazines. I've been on the cover of Blitz magazine, Jiu-Jitsu magazine. You know, I've won so many different awards, but they're the ones that just come straight out to me, you know. And Instructor of the Year, 2000, which is another great honour, and that's taken from all the instructors in Australia, and that's ranked through Blitz, which is the #1 martial art magazine in Australia. But, you know, when I was saying PPS and Member Solution, which is the largest billing, management and software development company in the world, ranked Combined Martial Arts as a #1 academy in Australia and placed us 33rd in the world. Now, we're talking about thousands of different martial art clubs, and we get ranked 33rd in the world but #1 in Australia. That to me tells me that we're doing something right, and we're not doing it on our ego, we're doing it working with children. Combined martial arts is to educate the public that martial arts is not just about punching and kicking, it's character development. It's about implementing certain characteristics into the children as young as possible to take them on to tomorrow and helping them grow. I want to be able to help build children's self-esteem, to show them that martial arts is about helping themselves, it's about tomorrow's champion, it's about doing well, it's about one trying to achieve the best they can possibly do. Every instructor that works for us in the academy, the teachers either part-time or full-time, are all blue card holders. And we're really proud to say that we've won every award that you can win in the martial arts. We've won the Blue Ribbon Award, Children's Services Award, fastest growing academy in Australia. You name it, we've won it. And that there comes back down to the quality of instructors that we have today and the training that we'll implement for those instructors. Yeah, we have a few different programs. We have a 18-month black belt course, which is people that haven't got the time to train twice a week for 4 to 5 years. And then we have our Black Patch program, which is elite students from the club that train 4 to 5 days a week. Then we have our basic program, which is students that train twice a week. And then we have our Little Dragons program, which is what I'm really excited about. We took this from America. America started teaching children back 3-year-old. And when we first heard of this, we laughed. How can you teach children 3-year-old? But the Jefferson Center, who's a character development center back in Pasadena in America, developed a program to implement character development in with the martial arts to be taught into schools. And we use the STAR program, which is to stop, to think, to act, to review. And it is used through over 2 million students in America are on this program. And in Australia, we were the first academy in Australia to actually implement this program. It's a fun stage. Childhood from 3 to 10-year-olds should be fun. Learning should be fun, and if their early stages are fun, with discipline, implementing characteristics that everyone wants to see in their children, and that's respect, and that's, you know, building people's self-esteem and confidence, you know, because you've got to understand today that 1 in 6 children are bullied on a weekly basis. And these figures are getting higher and higher and higher. In the martial arts, we're trying to turn these figures around by giving children the tools to use, and that's not their hands and their feet, that there is the brain. We have zero tolerance for bullying. You know, 1 in 6 children are picked on. Over 3,000 kids a year commit suicide. 80% of those are boys, and one of the biggest reasons is because of being picked on at school in their earlier years. So we teach children not to take notice what people say, water off a duck's back. If they're touched, to report it. Stop, stay away, leave me alone. You know, it all comes back down to profiling. And if you tell someone that you don't like it from as early as you can, they will listen. Stop, I said stop, I don't like it. Don't touch me. And when you can teach children to speak out and to tell them and get them to understand that if they don't like something, that they've got to say they don't like it. Children won't say that, so we have to teach them. And I find it's confidence that we need to instill in these children, and that builds self-esteem. Combined martial arts, we're a combination of different styles, but the main style that we teach here at the Academy is the Shotokan. And Shotokan originated from the Okinawan Islands, which is just islands just off Japan. It was introduced to Japan by Master Gichin Funakoshi, who died at 89. He died he died of old age. He was a very, very well-educated man who was taken from Okinawa by the Japanese to train the military police and the army in Japan. Gichin Funakoshi was the first full-time instructor in the world, and Shotokan, which means waving pines, was Gichin Funakoshi's pen name that he used when writing. He was a teacher, a scholar, a master in the art of karate, and just a well-respected man. The tradition of martial arts in general is not just Shotokan, but in the traditions of martial arts in general, we got it from the Okinawan Islands where Master Gichin Funakoshi was born. The martial arts was actually, we got it from the Chinese traders that were trading in Okinawa at the time because it was a shipping place. And the people there, because they were so poor, learnt martial arts to defend themselves. With the invasion of the Japanese to Okinawa, you weren't allowed to study martial arts. It had to be done underground. And if you were caught training in martial arts or any form of self-defense, you were beheaded straight away. There was no weapons allowed, so all the weapons that we use in the martial arts today were farming implements. The tonfa was for smashing rice. The sai was for pulling rice out. The bow, it was for an oar. And, you know, it was a secret society. Master Gichin Funakoshi was the person back in 1890 that implemented the actual grading system that we know today. Grading systems were implemented in judo, and back then it was only white belt, brown belt, black belt, and that was really by the colour of your gi pants or your actually linen cloth that you were wearing at the time to train. Master Gichin Funakoshi implemented the coloured belt systems, which represents mostly the 5 elements. Today there are so many different styles and they all use different colours, but the main colours are yellow, which represents the sun; green, which represents a tree sprouting; blue, which represents the water; red, fire; brown, the soil; black represents death, rebirth. So the 5 elements, and when you implement those 5 elements, that's how we get our belt system. Everything is on to progress on. And red, just for example, is temper. So by the time you get to red belt, you must be able to control that temper. Brown is knowledge, and it works its way up along that line until you get the black belt. When we say death and rebirth, it is beginning, and that's where the learning really starts. We use black belts. We always say a black belt is only a white belt that never quits. And then we take that on in life. It's the spirit you have in your belt. When we tie our belt, we tie it in a knot so our spirit continuously flows. And that's what we want in our students. We want them to live and breathe self-esteem. We want them to train well in here. We want them to do well at school. We want them to do well at home. And that's what we mean about the flowing of the energy. If they're feeling good within themselves here and they can take that feeling into school and into home life, then we're going to have tomorrow's champions. So that's what we actually mean about, you know, the spirit being in. Don't wash your belts. You know, don't wipe the blood off your belt. Don't wipe the dirt off your belt. That there is your characteristic. That's what we want you to keep. And we have children. I've had students train with me now, 3rd generation, come through and they've still got their white belts. When you walk into a dojo, everything is about etiquette. Everything is about respect. Especially in our dojo, we're still on the traditional level. So we don't want students to wear their belts out in the street because that's just ego. And we don't want ego. We want students to be able to walk into the dojo, bow as they walk onto the mat, turn around, and it all comes back from the samurai days. What the samurais used to do, they were very, very traditional, great etiquette. They'd kneel down, they'd put their belt on, they'd get their sword, They'd bow to their sword, they'd place their sword, and then they'd stand up. They were ready for combat. When they were finished with their combat, they'd remove their sword, they'd remove their belt, and they were finished training. So when you kneel down, and you kneel down with your right leg up, that there is, we start our training. When we finish our training, we turn our back, remove our sword with the left leg up, because you're removing your sword. Once you remove your sword, you take your belt off, there is no training. Kata is, I believe today, is the essence of what martial arts is about. Kata was designed, as I was saying earlier in the piece, in Okinawa, people were not allowed to study martial arts, and because of the Japanese, and when they invaded Okinawa, people were being killed left, right and centre. They were being, you know, their lands were being taken over, they were just taxed unbelievably, you know. So what they used to do was, they used to train in barns, they used to train underground, in caves. And Kata was designed so they could train by themselves in a combative situation. Kata is, it's like a dance. It's like a dance, but it's a fighting dance. And when you do Kata correctly, you should be able to see the person fighting another person, which we call the bunkai, the application of the Kata. And that there is anyone from any age, doesn't matter if it's done fast, if it's hard, or if it's soft, like in Tai Chi, right? It still comes back down to the application of the Kata. Well, you got your 5 Heian Katas, and the 5 Heian Katas means peaceful mind. You must be at one to do these Katas. White belts, we teach Kata Taiyoku Shorin, which means to flow. It means to be with one. Then you go into the Teki Katas, and the Teki Katas, there's 3 Teki Katas, and they're all in horse riding stance, and that's what they mean, horse riding stance. It's to develop the muscles in your leg, your back, and they were designed to, if you're in a barroom brawl. As you go higher, Basai Dai, to penetrate the fortress. Jion, St. John, these are just from the instructors' names at the time, who were very powerful and influential people. Empi, Dipping Swallow, Nijishia Sho, Hands in the Cloud, and they're all just names that we used at the time to hide the katas itself, so no one knew what they were talking about. So instead of saying we're doing fighting style, we're doing waving hands in the cloud, we're doing dipping swallow, and no one knew what they meant. We used it, because we used the Shotokan system, the bowing is a Japanese or an Asian tradition. It's like us shaking hands when we meet someone. It's a sign of respect. When the students walk in, they bow, because they're here and they're paying respect not only to the instructors that are going to train them, but they're paying respects to the people that were taught their instructors and the ancestors of the martial arts. And we want our students to keep that tradition. That is part of the tradition. So bowing is a big part of it. A lot of people think that it's a religious thing. It's not. It's solely respect. When the students walk on the mat, they bow. They're bowing to themselves and they're bowing to the students they're about to train with. When you're doing a combative art, you're going to be punched, you're going to be kicked. And if I bow to you first, and I do hit you, you know it's not in frustration, you know it's not in anger, there's no malice whatsoever. And if I do hit you, I'm going to bow and say, "Wuss, I'm sorry." You know, in all martial arts, it doesn't matter really what martial arts it is, in all martial arts it comes back down again to respect. I can't emphasise enough the word respect, because I think it's something today that a lot of people don't have. You walk into the dojo, you bow. You're bowing to the person who is about to train you, because you trust that person and you respect that person. The first thing we do with our students is we turn them around and we say "Shomani," which is to our flag, and again, which we're very proud of. So we turn around and we bow to the flag. Then we turn back around to our students and we bow to our head instructor, which is, it could be a Soke, Kiyoshi, a Shian. We bow to them because they're our teachers. Then we bow to the senseis, Shiani, right? Sensanis, right? Then we bow to the black belts for the years that they've trained as respect. Senpanis, right? Because they're also assistant instructors. Well, Tagani Ri means that we're all even and we bow together. There is no one better than anybody else. And I really try to get every student to understand that. You might bow to the Shian, you might bow to the black belt, but in return, we're all equal. Yeah, the Dojo Kun is the student creed. And what it is It's when you come into the dojo, we like our students to live by certain rules, and those rules must be obeyed. If we recite the student creed before training and after training, and they do it enough, it'll become a muscle memory. It goes into the brain, and they never forget it. And hopefully, what they do in here and what they recite in here, they'll actually do outside. They won't take their martial arts and use it for the wrong reasons. Caesar means to kneel down, and to kneel down was to put your sword in. So in everything the Japanese did, because they didn't have tables, they used to kneel on the floor all the time. But Caesar means correct kneeling position, and we just use it to slide our sword into our obi, and when we're moving our sword out, and when we're also talking or dojo-kun, bowing, we always go into a Caesar position. It's just a traditional kneeling position. We use our Caesar when we're doing Mokshu, meditation, and it helps to clear our mind. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you to grow in the martial arts, to go to your next level. And remember, a black belt is only a white belt that never quits. Us.